Hello, my name is Joe Hennis.
And I'm Jarrod Fairclough.
And welcome to Introduce Our Guest Star, a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. In this show, Jarrod and I are taking it in turns to surprise each other with this week's guests. And hey, this week it's my turn again.
Yay!
I feel like it was just my turn 2 weeks ago.
I know. I don't know why I'm yaying when I know exactly that it's your turn. Otherwise, this is going to be a bad podcast because I haven't organised anyone today.
Oh, whoa.
Well, this is going to be awkward.
And then we still released it? What was wrong
know.
with us? All right, so Jarrod, as everyone probably knows after listening to a bunch of episodes of this podcast, you have no idea who the guest is. Is that accurate?
Not a clue.
Not one clue. All right,
Not one
I'm
clue.
going to give you a chance to guess.
Yep.
Let's see how close you come.
I have guessed your last two.
You did. You're
right.
a very good guesser.
All right,
I'm very
so
proud of you.
we will start with our usual Muppet, Sesame, or Henson.
Sesame and Muppets.
Okay. Is this person a puppeteer?
Yes.
Is this person one of the core Muppet performers?
What a way to narrow it down.
Well, no, because there's a lot of people who do both.
That's true. Yes.
Okay. I'm assuming current. Okay, well, it's not Dave Goelz because we've had him. Or maybe he came again. I don't know.
Dave went away, did some Sesame work really quickly, and
yeah.
then
of course he
joined
done
us
Sesame,
second.
has he? All right. My guess is going to be Eric Jacobson.
Jarrod, this is your hat trick.
Oh my gosh!
Because our guest today is a former Jim Henson Company intern who started doing a little puppetry work for Sesame Street in 1994. Over the years, you've probably seen his occasional performances as Guy Smiley or Half of the Two-Headed Monster. And yeah, okay, you've seen him as Grover and Bert and Oscar and Sam the Eagle and Animal and Fozzie Bear and Miss Piggy. Jarrod, I am extremely pleased to introduce our guest star, Eric Jacobson.
Hello.
Hello, Mr.
Jarrod,
Jacobson.
how are you? Hey, Joe.
How are you?
Hey, Eric.
I'm so excited.
Me too. It's good to be here.
Good to see ya.
Where is here? Where are you?
I'm in Brooklyn.
And I'm in Melbourne.
And I'm in California. This is crazy.
Oh. Are you doing anything you can tell us about in California?
Sure, in like a few months' time.
Okay,
Good
great.
enough for me.
All right, so we'll just do another one of these in a few months, and you'll say
yeah.
that thing that we did and now you don't care about anymore.
Sure.
Let's deconstruct that. Eric, thank you so much for joining us. What a treat!
Yeah.
A real Muppet performer.
I'm so excited. Like, I don't know that. Like, I mean, we've met a couple of times. I interviewed Grover last year, but I don't think we've ever actually done an interview.
No, I don't think so. I remember you came by the set of the Muppets when we did that for ABC, and I don't know if there were other times. Maybe you came by and visited the set on Sesame as well.
I met you in 2008 at Sesame.
Yeah.
And you were lovely. You and I sat on the stoop and watched Kevin Clash film something, and you were very nice to me when you really probably didn't have to be. So I appreciate it.
Well, I can make up for that right now, and treat you really
Just
poorly.
be as rude as you like.
Will that make you feel
go
better?
for it. A little bit, but it's fine. And then obviously, the set of the Muppets. You were very nice. You went and got Fozzie, and I've got a nice photo of me and Fozzie.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then I came the next week as well, and I remember talking with you in Kermit's office. And like a couple of days beforehand, you'd been at the White House doing like Miss Piggy's story time or something like that.
Yeah,
Miss Piggy was reading something.
Michelle Obama. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like literally, I think it was about 2-3 days later, then you're just in a room with me, and I'm like, this guy has gone from one extreme to the other.
Don't sell yourself short.
I'm no Michelle Obama.
He can sell himself a little short. Let him be who he wants to be, Joe.
Exactly, Joe. I'm living my truth.
Okay, fair enough. Your truth is you are the anti-Michelle Obama. I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, we've met many times, you and me, Eric.
Yeah, we work together.
I've met you more times than I've met Jarrod. We do. But I think the first time you and I were in the same room together, as far as I can remember, was I was on the set of the Letters to Santa
Hmm.
a million years ago. And I'm sure we talked at that time. I don't even know what year that was off the top of my head, but that was. I have a photo of myself with Fozzie Bear in his Christmas sweater. So that must have been.
So you have visual proof. You have evidence.
I have visual proof that
Neither
was
one of us
you.
remembers this encounter, but you have the proof.
No.
Okay.
That's true. It's true. I mean, you're not in the picture. That's the problem. Is like you're off to the side with your head cocked so that you can't. You're not in the picture at all. So
it's true.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like a vampire that way. You know, I don't photograph. There are very few photographs of me. Working in the trenches. And now you're going to go scour the internet and find all the really bad pictures of it. But
is that for a reason? Or
I kind of consider myself the vampire, like of puppeteers, and we're all like vampires because we're always having cameras pointed at us, but we're below frame and you don't see us.
It's funny because Eric is the actual vampire. I mean, you're Eric. Jeez, there goes my joke. Matt is the vampire. That's the joke I tried to make, and then I ruined it by looking at Eric and thinking, Matt,
it's
my
sometimes
God,
it's funnier when the joke falls flat like that. When you mess up the joke.
Hope so.
I know from experience with Fozzie.
Well, what's that like for you then, Eric? Because I mean, you're obviously Miss Piggy's one of the biggest stars in the world. You get to be Miss Piggy, but then you get to go to Costco and no one says anything to you. Like, no one comes up to you. So what's that like for you, though, that juxtaposition?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't get to go to Costco because I don't have a Costco card. But
I'll get you one.
It is pretty, your point is taken. It's pretty great. I've rubbed elbows with a lot of very famous folks. And I've seen up close how hard it is for them. They're always in the spotlight, whether they want to be or not. And I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Do you ever want just a little bit of that, though? Like a little bit of the attention?
It's like, I'd like to be able to walk into a restaurant and get a table.
Well, no. I get it when I'm on set and when I walk off stage and I'm backstage or on the set and that whoever was in the room, they know and sometimes they'll come up to me, but as soon as I walk outside the building, it's just life is normal again, and that's really nice. So I kind of get the best of both worlds that way, I suppose.
Well, that's it. And I mean, what's good for you as well is that when you do get recognized, Muppet fans are excellent. So I imagine 99% of the time, it's a really wonderful, nice, respectful encounter, and then they go on their way.
Oh, absolutely. Muppet fans are, as far as I'm concerned, the best fans there are. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it's from all of the encounters that I've had. It's a kinship, really, because I'm just a big Muppet fan myself. I'm in the center of the storm, the eye of the hurricane, as it were, right now. But working for the Muppets. But I grew up as a fan, and I'm still a fan of the stuff that I grew up watching. So it's we share that in common.
Being a fan who also gets to like work on these productions, do you ever find yourself like completely geeking out over like, oh my God, that's Roosevelt Franklin, or like, oh, I get to perform the right hand of like Jerry and the Atrix or whatever it is?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still like that. I'm still very grateful every day I walk onto set and I get to perform these amazing legacy characters that I've inherited. And the same was the case for the original gang, though, too. Caroll Spinney, he was always the most grateful man in show business. If you ask me, there was never a day he wasn't grateful for his lot in life and being getting to be Big Bird. He always likened it to getting to be a member of the Beatles, or getting to grow up and be Mickey Mouse. And yeah, it's like that. And yeah, I really always admired that about Caroll. And I tried, that's one of the aspects of Caroll that I try to emulate.
Let's talk then a bit about Oscar, because your Oscar, as far as I'm concerned, in the history of Muppet Sesame, is the best recast. Because I cannot tell the difference between your Oscar and Caroll's Oscar.
Oh, that's very nice of you. But what about all the other characters I do, huh?
Oh my God, they're all excellent. I love all of them. But
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's an incredibly generous compliment for you to make. Thank you so much.
Was Oscar someone you could always do? Was that sort of someone that you worked on for an audition? Was it just a voice you always had in the back pocket? Because you are excellent at like all the voices. So, but I mean that one is just so spot on. It's eerie.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. There are folks in the cast too who've complimented me, and the fact that I'm stuck inside a trash can most of the time and invisible to the rest of the cast, I think contributes to this illusion that it's the same Oscar that they always have known, because they can't see me, and they say they've said some really nice things as well, and it's incredibly humbling and very rewarding for me to hear that this illusion that I'm trying to perform for everybody, is that it's worked to some degree. I've always been something of a mimic, but I never really. There's some characters that I've inherited that I never really explored until the time came to audition. Oscar was he was one of those, though I have to admit I did start when I had kids. I did start playing around with the voice, for my kids' sake. Whenever we would be out and pass a trash can or something, I just would I tried it on, and but it's not something that I really studied until I auditioned, and even then I didn't really study it for long. I didn't study it really hard and long. I think being around Caroll, not just for the time that we worked together, but also the time I spent with him as a child growing up and watching his performances, just having Caroll kind of wash over me over the years. I just picked stuff up subconsciously, and sometimes it's that subconscious stuff that's the hardest stuff to try and consciously mimic, and it almost can't be done. So yeah, I'm pleased with what I've been able to do with Oscar, and Caroll was incredible, helping me gain insight to the character, and he and Debbie both were big supporters of mine as I was stepping into the role that he made so indelible on generations.
So, I mean, Matt's spoken quite a lot about his audition process with Big Bird. What then was your audition process for Oscar? Was Caroll involved in the casting for that?
Yes. Carol, it was Caroll's choice. Caroll and Debbie both listened to auditions. This was a different kind of audition for me. In the past, I had always had to do a video audition and prove myself as a puppeteer. At this point, I didn't have to do that. They were only auditioning within the circle of Sesame performers, as far as I know. And so they just did an audio audition, and perhaps they would have moved on to video auditions if necessary. But as far as I understand, it was it was a blind audition. They didn't know who was who. But from what I've heard, it was unanimous among the producers and Caroll and Debbie. So that's how it went. It was just an audio audition. I just sang a little bit of I Love Trash and did one or two little scenes, monologues with Oscar. And that was that.
It's amazing. It really, really is.
I'm curious because I'm kind of fascinated by just the idea of being a mimic. I do horrible impressions.
Oh yeah, let's hear one.
Do a good. No, you will never hear one. But I'm curious if there's you could say this if you want about Oscar or any of your characters, your legacy characters. But is there something that you, as you were trying to develop these characters, that you kind of like? You needed that one little detail, that key that just unlocked the whole thing. I know I've talked to Ryan Dillon about this with Elmo, and he's like, I can do the falsetto, I can get close to the character, and he couldn't unlock it until he remembered that Kevin Clash is from Baltimore, and he put just a little bit of a Maryland accent on it, and it was just perfect. So I'm curious if there's something like that for your characters.
Yeah, I don't even know what a Maryland accent sounds like myself.
It beats me, but it worked.
But it worked for him. That's great. That's interesting. And it's funny you should mention that it was a Maryland accent that helped Ryan key into Elmo, because I don't think I'm really good at dialects per se, but I'm really good at specific people and characters. And so when I try and do a dialect, I usually have to think of a specific person that I know who has that dialect, and then I can do it. I can't do Boston or Massachusetts without thinking of JFK, right?
Right.
Then I can do it. That's no problem. So yeah, I don't. Let me think about this. This is
alternatively, if that's
you can
if that's too hard. I know I've heard some of the puppeteers talk about how there's one little phrase or one little movement that they do to get themselves back into the character.
Sure. I'll recite, something, I'll usually recite something from the Muppet Showcast album before I do Sam.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Usually it's I've been doing it for a while, so I don't have to warm
it's just
up
second nature by now. Yeah.
too much.
Well then,
Right.
okay, so with your characters then, who do you find the easiest to get into, and and who do you find the hardest to get into?
Well, like I said, it's there's not a lot of stretching that I have to do for any of the characters, but probably the easiest to get into would be Grover, and probably the most difficult would be maybe Sam, because sometimes I do have to loosen up my vocal cords to hit the lower registers with him. Yeah, like today, I would definitely be doing some vocal warm ups for him because my voice is kind of it's kind of dry here, and my voice feels a little thin to me. So I would probably warm ups to just loosen up the vocal cords. But as far as like character goes, like it's just like shifting gears at this point.
I mean, considering you've been doing it for 20 years, so obviously you've got if you're having a hard time, it'd probably be.
I wouldn't be doing it at all if it were much. And it hasn't. It's not just been the time that I've been doing it. It's my whole life, absorbing it and being around it. It's like, do you forget how to be a fan of the Muppets? No, you've always loved them and you always will. And it's just a part of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I'm really curious about, like, because so many of your characters are just those A-list, Piggy, Fozzie Animal, or Bert and Grover and Oscar. Do you find yourself just as a performer kind of getting hungry for wanting to, play someone else or experiment or even like create new characters?
Sure. As I said, I'm incredibly grateful for my lot. And that doesn't have to happen for me to be happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. That said, yes, it's always fun to, get to put more of yourself into a character. And thankfully, I've had the opportunity to do that from time to time, whether it was earlier in my career playing Billy Bob Bobcat on Once Upon a Tree, or Harry the Duck on Bear in the Big Blue House, or more recently I've gotten to do a lot of stuff with David Rudman. He has a production company, and he's a go-getter and just a fountain of creativity. And he's come up with some fabulous productions that I've gotten to be a part of. Sometimes I'm only able to do the pilot, and and then somebody else has to step in and do the actual show. But I always joke to him that he's got to, if he wants to sell the show, he's got to call me.
That's right.
Because I think all the pilots I've done for him have gone forward. But
you're his good luck charm. You're his John Ratzenberger.
Yeah. But I've gotten to do some other shows with him, like Bunnytown. I was there for the whole run of that, and got to create some really fun characters for Jack's Big Music Show. And yeah, some of the best times I've had as a puppeteer performing were on those projects with David. Yeah. So that was.
That's great.
But yeah,
I'm glad you guys enjoy working with each other.
Yeah, we do. I mean, the whole gang of us, we all get along at Sesame Muppets. That's
except for that damn Peter Linz. Notoriously the least pleasant man in the world. No, that's obviously.
Oh my gosh,
opposite.
Jarrod! That is terrible to say about my friend Peter. What are you doing? I hope you cut that out.
I definitely
Please
won't.
edit that out. You're making yourself look very, very poor.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'd like to apologize on behalf of myself, on behalf of this podcast. I'll take a moment to really think about what I've done.
Yeah, please do.
I do want to say, just thinking of some of your more recent kind of one-off characters, the mole that you performed on Muppets Now in the Swedish Chef bit was absolutely
so
hysterical. Good. Like, what a highlight of the series! that disgusting mole.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, that's I've done a character like that. Maybe it was with that same puppet a couple times for Muppets, and I've done it's kind of like a kind of a go-to character I've used for one or two of David's productions as well. Yeah, it's fun. I like playing just dumb characters like that who have some some kind of endearing quality to them. They don't mean any harm. Yeah, he was just clueless. I like that he was just clueless. And just,
I mean, you're also kind of describing a little. He's not as dumb, but like Fozzie Bear, who.
Oh yeah, let's not start a controversy here. Mr. Bimbo.
What controversy could we?
Controversy.
Well, it's one of those things where like we were talking about this recently over on the Tough Picks forum about like when did Fozzie go from just kind of being a little bit naive to being a little bit dumb?
Yeah.
And it's like it way predates your time with the franchise. It's like there's the John Denver Rocky Mountain Holiday special where like he thinks an active beehive is a football, and it's just like they just wrote him as being so dumb.
Yeah.
And he's not. Like even now, like I mean, I'm thinking specifically of like Muppets Most Wanted, where he doesn't know that Constantine is Kermit.
Nobody does.
Versa, and nobody gets it. And like the whole thing where the thing drips on the newspaper, and like he goes back and forth, and it's like any character would do that. Fozzie's a little naive. He's not stupid. He's not an idiot.
Yeah. I think, well, like you pointed to, it depends on who's writing him and. What the production is, and then what the gag they're going for. Like sometimes a character is written a little out of character for the sake of a gag, and it's unfortunate. But if it winds up being entertaining to folks, then I guess it was the right decision. But that's something that I try and monitor, and I try, I chip in my 2 cents about, because I always want them to be in character,
of course,
and try and have the comedy come out of that. But sometimes it's okay. This is the gag. We have to play the truth of this gag as opposed to the truth of the character, and but like you pointed out, it's been the case all along. The Muppet Show is out there for everybody to watch again, which is fantastic. And you can get whiplash watching, from episode to episode, what the characters, how the characters shift from being really dumb to being clever, from being manipulative to being manipulated. It's that's what happens though with any group of characters, franchise characters who've been around for so long, is they have so much history that their history, you can easily find contradictions.
Absolutely.
But
I'm curious first of all, if you've been watching the Muppet Show on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
and
of course.
If so, which is terrific.
Isn't it the best thing? I mean, it's all there now. I mean, minus a couple things,
small percentage.
Yeah, but this is the first time in forever that people have had such easy access to the show that started it all. And you better believe I've been watching it with my family, and it's been a joy to share it with my kids. And so it's been great. And it's been restored really nicely too.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. I mean, it's kind of jarring to me, and for probably anybody who's used to, who saw it when it first aired and has seen it all along the way in reruns and on VHS tapes, because they've put a sheen on it that really looks different from any version I've ever seen of it before.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could see like the peeliness of Kermit's, the texture of his fleece.
Yeah,
like little pockmarks in Miss Piggy's fleece.
Yeah,
like it's fascinating.
Yeah. They up-resed everything. I know that, and then they also, to me, it looks like they did something with the frame rate as well. It kind of has a film
they got
look
all
to it.
entirely new cuts out of dubs off of the original tapes.
Yeah,
from what I heard, like they redid it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fan in me geeking out. I'm like, that looks so different. Why does it look so different? It's almost got a film look to it. Did they play with the frame rate?
Is it just that it's missing that Disney logo in the lower corner from all the YouTube videos? But what I want to know though is because it's unique for you as the performer of these characters now. So like, are you able to, or are you basically watching those classic episodes and like finding things that Frank did this with animals.
Yeah, sure.
I hadn't thought about that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, because
are there things that you're kind of picking up now?
Oh yeah. I mean, I go back and watch the old stuff for sheer entertainment, but also, go, oh wow, look at what he did there. That is so cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that, or I don't think I've ever seen this. This is so cool. And when can I do that?
Right.
Yeah. It's really but most of all, it's just really neat to share it with my kids, and let that, to see them smiling, laughing, and reacting to this, in the same way I did when I saw it as a kid. It's just so great.
That's terrific.
If I can completely shift gears, we talked about Most Wanted before. I will die on this hill. Something So Right deserved the best song, Oscar, and I'm
still shocked. I am shocked that it didn't get nominated.
I mentioned this, I think, in last week's episode, that I remember watching that movie, leaving, and my first thought was, I'm so excited to see them do that at the Oscars. And
yeah,
didn't get nominated.
I nothing against any of Brett's other songs, but I thought that was the one as well that they were going to put up for consideration, just because it's a ballad, and it's a big power ballad, and something that has gravitas to it. It's big, it's epic, it's a song that just seemed like it was Oscar.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm guessing Bret was really he didn't care like any of my songs. And maybe that was the one. What was it? It was what's it called? I'll give you what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cockatoo in Malibu song.
Yeah.
I'll get you.
That was the one that was put up for nomination.
Oh,
really?
They didn't put up both. They chose one, and that was the one they put through.
I think so.
Okay.
I have no idea.
It really is such, like you said, a ballad. Like your Piggy voice is like you're a wonderful singer as Miss Piggy. I mean, I haven't heard you sing as normal, but Miss Piggy has a fantastic voice. That compared to Celine Dion as well, mixed with that, I mean, that song is massive. Like, so it amazes me that they didn't even think to put that one up.
All the songs in that movie though are winners in my book.
I would say
the whole soundtrack.
I would say that soundtrack is probably my second favorite after the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
Like, We're Doing a Sequel is one of my favorite songs.
Oh, yeah. It's just quintessential Muppets to me. When I first heard that song, Bret played it. He banged it out on a piano in this storefront. Like, it was like an abandoned storefront on Hollywood Boulevard. I went in there. I was supposed to meet him, and he was going to get some, he was going to get some keys from me for the songs he was working on. And I was like, "Where am I?" This run down. He wanted to compose all these songs in this wreck of a place for inspiration.
He chose that location?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't just put him there? The studio didn't put him there?
I can't imagine that they put him in this
I mean,
place.
That's something very Muppety.
It was like, this should be condemned. What are you doing here? But anyways, he banged out the sequel song, and I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing. It just has this old, bouncy vaudeville show tune, old-fashioned Muppet sound. It just sounded like the Muppets to me. I loved it, and the way it came out in the film too, the way it's shot, I'm really proud of how that came out. What we all contributed to it. There's some really great puppetry in it too.
We say this to pretty much everyone who worked in any way on Muppets Most Wanted, but Muppets Most Wanted is so good, and it's such a tragedy that people did not make a point to go out and see it when it was in theaters, because it really is, in the modern era of Muppets, like the post Jim era of Muppets, it is a highlight. It's one of the very best things you guys have ever done. So
thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of it as well. It's and the music. Yeah, I mean, it's Bret really outdid himself. I mean, he did a great job on the first movie. The second one, it's just, he nailed that sound. And I love it. Anyways,
really makes you wish that there was a third one for him to work on.
Right? Yeah. Well, at least the Muppets Most Wanted is still, we made it. It's still there for people to discover. So, hopefully it'll gain a wider and wider audience over the years. I hope so. And Bret's still kicking. He's doing his stuff. He's doing his thing, and we're still doing our thing. Maybe we'll cross paths again. We'll have another chance to work together.
I'll say one of my favorite parts about that movie as well is that Sam and Ty Burrell's character.
Yeah.
Like, that dynamic is fantastic.
That was one of the things I remember we all really loved from the first read through. And again, I think it goes back to kind of like, kind of classic archetypes and things we've all seen before, but you don't see anymore. And I think that's something that the Muppets can really, when they embrace that, it's refreshing, it's new. What's old is new again, and they brought back vaudeville in the 70s. There's no reason why the Muppets can't keep, bringing vaudeville back and doing this, this stuff this comedy that when you see it, you laugh, but you don't see it anymore. Nobody's doing it. At least not many people are. So, yeah, and just the prop comedy with Sam and Ty is just absurd and really, really funny, and that kind of buddy cop dynamic, but with these really extreme characters. It's fun to see. It's fun to see. We had a lot of fun, Ty and I, doing that. Really great, really great.
And I think you were the one who pointed out to me maybe that that Sam and Ty don't actually accomplish anything in the movie. Like they don't push the story along. They don't. Like they don't solve the mystery. They're just kind of following the action.
It's true. Yeah. They they don't. Yeah, they don't really further anything. They're really there, I think, to be an obstruction for the rest of the Muppets, to make their lives harder, and to distract them from what their goals are in the movie. But that's really it. There's a lot of stuff like that where if you examine it, and if as a script, it maybe doesn't make a lot of sense. like why would you do it this way? But it still winds up being incredibly entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, that's all that matters
in
the end. Yeah.
It's like it's weird, but both. Okay, now this is the film geek in me now coming out. So like both the Muppets 2011 and Muppets Most Wanted, they have shifting protagonists, and the Muppets are not the main characters throughout the entirety of both of those films. And it's something that you kind of like would scratch your head at, if it were if those movies were done with other characters perhaps, or if the movies weren't as entertaining as they are. But the fact is they are super entertaining, and it doesn't matter that we're following Jason Segel and in the first movie, and Walter, who is not a Muppet at the beginning of the movie. You're following their story for some time before it really becomes Kermit and the gang and what they need. And the same thing with the with Muppets Most Wanted. It's it's a heist movie, and you're following Ricky Gervais and Constantine, and in a heist movie, you're supposed to be rooting for the guys pulling off the heist, but obviously you're not going to root for these guys. You want to root for the Muppets. They're just a mark, the Muppets. But and then until later on when they finally catch on, what's happened with Kermit. But it still works. It's like, it's so entertaining. It just doesn't matter. Like, these unconventional narrative structures don't matter at all. And
that's what the Muppets do best, is unconventional.
Yeah, maybe it adds to the entertainment value, because you're just like, what am I watching? What is this? Where is this story going? I find that fascinating, that those movies are both so entertaining on their own terms like that.
Absolutely.
Have you had much of a chance to communicate with Frank since you took over his characters?
Oh, we've chatted about this and that over the years. Yep. The fact of the matter is, I'm there because he's not. So,
yep.
So our paths don't cross all that often. But yep. When they do, it's always nice to catch up with him. And we've had some really great conversations about the Muppets and about character, and and his point of view, and over the years. But I respect, I worship the ground that he's walked on. Every time I put on one of those puppets, and it's it's not necessarily a matter of me thinking, what would Frank do, but because I have to do what Eric would do.
Yep.
Nobody can be somebody else. Even if you're good at, you're a good mimic, you can't be somebody else. But I take inspiration from his performances constantly. And like I said, I'm always going back and watching the original material, and learning from it. So,
and it must be hard too, because like the characters, it doesn't matter if it's been one performer the whole time, or split the way that your characters have, but with a character that has been around for as long as the Muppets have been around, specifically with the Disney Muppets, not so much with the Sesame characters, like, they're going to evolve. Like Miss Piggy that you perform is not the same Miss Piggy that we saw on the Muppet Show, because that Miss Piggy was like this struggling artist who just wanted to be a star, and now, like, she's this diva. She is the biggest movie star in the world, and so it's got to be really hard to juggle, like, what would what's at the core of this character from the late 1970s to, like, who does she need to be in 2021?
Yeah, and you bring up an aspect of her character that I'm always conscious of, and that is, people really, really like to see her today as a successful, glamorous, fashionable, fashion icon, movie star, all of these things. And they'll treat her that way, whether it's in interviews or, in magazines. And it's really hard. It's really hard for me to to justify where they're coming from. But I have to acknowledge however they treat her. But deep down inside, I think the character works best when she is not seen to be as successful and as much of an icon. Because I think the struggle for her to become that is more interesting than her being that.
I agree. Yeah.
So, but I have to acknowledge it when people do treat her that way. Sometimes she's not treated that way. Sometimes she is, and when she is, it's like, especially in the fashion world, like people in the fashion world, they love Miss Piggy, and she's now, modeled all this couture in real fashion magazines now for years, and she has a whole, like, practically, everybody who's anybody in the fashion world has made something for her. It's crazy. And
you don't even get to keep the dresses.
She has them. Miss Piggy does.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know how often she's going to break out that Vivienne Westwood wedding dress that she wore in Muppets Most Wanted. But
it's nice to know it's in the closet.
That thing belongs in a museum.
But it's crazy. But it's crazy, right? To think that she's this fashion icon, but she's been embraced that way by the fashion world, and so I just have to kind of shift perspective when we're talking fashion, and just like highlight how crazy the fashion world is, and then it starts, okay, now this fits into who Miss Piggy is. It's like, she is idolized by this crazy fashion world that's just insane, and so then it, I can justify it, but
the thing that Frank seems to have done, not to say that obviously you should do what Frank did, but I think this has more to do with who Frank was at this time in his life. But as Miss Piggy got to be more and more, famous and in the real world and treated in that way, his interpretation of Piggy became more of like I don't care. Like, I'm here and I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you ask me on this stupid show? And I'm specifically thinking of, like, I'm sure you've seen her on like the Martha Stewart, and there's a really funny one with her on the Today Show, I think it was, or something like that. And like, I know you probably don't have that as much of that freedom because the characters they're Disney characters, but there was he somehow found that comedy in playing against what people wanted from her.
Yes, and I've done that at times too, but it's it's a well you can't go to too many times.
I'm sure,
and sometimes it's a question of why is she here? What she's not promoting. she's not promoting anything. This has nothing to do with her interests. And so you have to come up with some reason, some justification for why she's wherever she is. Like, when she was on like ESPN Sports Zone or something like that once. It was ESPN. And it was like, I don't know, I don't know why she's here. I don't know how this happened. And
it's called synergy.
Yeah. And so, I had to come up with this whole justification that, that Miss Piggy didn't know why she was there. And, some intern. She was just walking down the hall. She was on her way to a meeting about something else, and some intern just grabbed her arm and pulled her in here. And now she's sitting in here talking sports. She didn't know anything about sports.
Throw the old pigskin around.
Yeah.
You can have that joke. You can have that joke.
Everyone has that joke.
Yeah.
No, it was original. I came up with it.
But I mean, it's all, a lot of times it's about the individual appearance and what's going on, what's happening, why is she here, why does she think she's there. Sometimes there are two different reasons, and you got to come up with the reality of for the character. So and that's the thing, you have to make each of these individual appearances work, and sometimes it kind of goes, it'll run counter to the overarching narrative that you're trying to push forward with the characters. And that's those are the pitfalls of these characters who've been around for so long. You inevitably run into those little pitfalls every now and then, but you try and keep an eye out for it all, and you do the best you can.
I'm curious, you've talked a bit about playing these characters that are among the biggest stars in the pop culture world, but does it get overwhelming because you play so many of them, when you see a script that's like, okay, we have a scene where it's a Piggy and Animal and Fozzie, and then the B plot is all about Sam, and you're like, guys, come, I only have 2 arms.
Well, thankfully, those kind of complicated plots usually only wind up in a movie or some big production where you have a little bit more time to track all the characters beforehand and to keep an eye on them throughout the whole creative process. So, I mean, occasionally it'll happen with on Sesame Street, or on another production that's just really a really fast-paced production. But I've done it so much now that I'm pretty good at juggling it all and keeping track of all the characters' arcs, and what each character, what state they're in at any given point in a storyline. But it takes work,
I'm sure.
Got to do your homework.
Can I ask? So in the 2015 series,
Yeah.
Sam had a runner where he was in love with Janice.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you saw? Because I find that storyline's been that's quite a controversial one, I find, with Muppet fans. Some people loved it, some people were very confused by it. So I'm just wondering what your take on it is.
Well, I think Sam was very confused by it, for sure. He didn't quite understand these feelings he had. And that's how I played it mostly, because I think that's relatable. Love is not something that you can really always explain. It works in mysterious ways.
It's because love. That's all.
Yeah. It's but it never went anywhere. It was an unrequited love, and I don't think that Janice was ever going to even realize that he existed. And that was I imagine that's had the series continued, that's how that relationship would have ended. Was really, he would just have to move on because she didn't even realize he was there.
We recently did a whole podcast revisiting the 2015 sitcom, and obviously that topic came up several times, and some of our interviewees thought they loved it, some did not care for it, but the one consensus that we came to is exactly what you said, was if whether it's interesting or it works or not, or if it's problematic or not, the story seemed to didn't have anywhere to go. It was just, he has a crush on her, she doesn't see him, then what? And they didn't write an arc for that subplot. They just kind of let it, fade into the ether.
Yeah. The show was put together so quickly. I don't think any of these character arcs, any of these story arcs, it had been thought out to completion before we started. I mean, they were writing shows, just like a week in advance of us shooting them. It was really tight. It was really tight.
Oh yeah.
So
especially for Muppets, because you guys need a lot of lead time usually. For,
the workshop
setting up
was
your shots
really
storyboarding.
They were really under the gun. They were on site, and they had all hands on deck. But it was a big job for them. It was big for everybody. I mean, that was quite an undertaking. And largely I'm very proud of the work that everybody did on. I think there's a lot of great work went into it, and a lot of great work that shows on screen. Whether you like the tone of the show or wished it had been something different, it's quite a feat. I don't think puppetry has ever been seen on primetime television in the way that it was put on display in that show.
Well, if I can lump a little bit more praise on you, Eric, let me know if you're getting sick of it. I will say one of my favorite bits of puppetry in that show was when Sam was singing "Wind Beneath My Wings," and you have to go back and watch it. He's just got a very subtle sway to himself while he's singing.
Yeah,
because he's obviously really he's getting upset about Ed Helms and Janice flirting, and he's sort of his head's down a little bit, and I think I went back and rewatched that little bit of puppetry about 3 or 4 times because it was just so subtly done. So I mean, the compliment's 6 years late, but well done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of little moments like that with all the characters, personally, that I'm proud of. And we had, this material was so different from what we were used to doing. And so it was a real stretch for me as an actor. And then also, to put that acting into puppetry, to manifest it in these physical forms on screen. And I remember that very vividly. Trying to come up with what his body language was during that moment. Going up and singing like that. It's like he doesn't sing, not not solo like that, and but so he didn't know what to do with himself, and he was doing it with a purpose of trying to get Janice's attention. But there were lots of other little moments, little things that I'd never done with a puppet before, and maybe other people had, but I don't ever recall seeing it before. Things like Miss Piggy, like swinging around a doorway through a door frame, just like latching onto the frame of a door and just kind of swinging around it and letting her other arm naturally swing.
Just kind of sways.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did something else with Piggy where I had her drop to her knees, and which you never think to do this normally, because even as puppeteers, we're looking at the what's in the frame. We're not, we're trying to give the impression of the lower extremities, but that was something I'd never done before. It was like, and there'd never been a call for it. So a lot of it was inspired by the scripts and by the material. They were having to project these emotions that were more complex. They were emotions that they hadn't displayed before to this extent. And so we had to come up with the physicality that would go with it. And that was fun. That was a real stretch. And those are just two instances, that I shared, but there are many, many, many others, from my colleagues as well. So I think it's a fun watch just for that, for the puppetry that's on display and the acting that you've never seen from the Muppets before. Yeah. That's for sure.
I mean, that's the great thing about having a weekly show.
Yeah.
Is you guys had so much time where you could play and experiment and just you're doing more than just having the characters talk directly to the camera. They're like you say, they're acting for a whole half hour every week.
Yeah. It was
I hope that you guys get that opportunity again soon. Because, it was such a treat for like you say, just for that reason to watch the terrific puppetry.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm sure it'll happen. It's just a matter of when and what project. But I think it'll happen. It's also a great opportunity to create new characters. Now, that didn't happen a lot on the 2015 show, and we weren't around long enough to really get new characters for them to gain traction.
Right.
But had we been around for a couple more seasons, I think that's where new characters are created. They're not created in a vacuum. You can't just create new characters for a one-off project and expect them to stick. Sometimes you just can't you can't anticipate where a new character is going to come from. But if you're given enough time and you're going into work every day, it's more likely to happen then. And so I can't wait for that to happen again. Yeah, for that playground to be available to us all once more. Because I'm sure there will be, with the next big production to come along, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of new characters, along with the classics. Yeah, I don't think the Muppets are ever going to make the mistake of sidelining their classic, most popular fan fave characters. But I think we're just going to get to see more characters joining them on whatever their, wherever their journeys take them next.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next movie, which just revolve around that mole that you play.
Are you announcing something right now?
He's just covered in sour cream for the entire movie.
That sounds good. What's the name of the movie?
Oh, don't make me do it.
Mole, mole, mole.
I like it.
Oh, goodness gracious.
We're already like we're making the T-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
People are making fan art on the internet.
I heard Spielberg's
this
interested.
Is completely taken off. Who's interested? Oh, Spielberg.
Yeah. Not
Great.
Steven. Mark. He's accountant brother.
Mark Spielberg.
This is how it happens in Hollywood, guys. You
Exactly
just
right.
A whisper campaign like this, and pretty soon you're on the set. You're making the magic happen.
Right. All it takes is one person with money to listen to this podcast and to say, "Okay, fine, here, have my money. Just go make whatever you want." That's Hollywood, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So Eric, every week, Jarrod and I, because we take turns bringing our guest in, we each also take turns with a series of preset questions that we ask to our guests. So feel free to answer these lightning round style, or take your time. I don't know. We don't care.
Or not answer them at all. Is that a choice as well?
I mean, no one's taken that choice.
I believe there was one. One question was not answered, if I recall. It was one of the questions asked by our previous guest ones. They declined.
Oh, okay. Yes, they did.
So here's our list of questions for you, Eric Jacobson. What is the best movie that you watched recently?
It's not a new movie.
That's okay. I didn't say
Austin
new movie.
Powers 2.
Wow.
Love that movie.
Classic
movie.
Series, yeah.
Would you rather travel 20 years into the past or 20 years into the future?
Oh, whoa. 20 years ago. What was I doing 20 years ago? I think...
Well, I hate to break it to you. It was only 2001.
I know. Like, where was I in my life? I'd rather see what kind of new technology the future brings. I'd go in the future. I already know the past. I know what happened there. I was there. Let's go to the future.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's a hot dog. Silly question.
All right. Quick, tell me the most obscure Muppet you can think of.
Harvey Knee Slapper. Who I got to play. I got to bring him back for one night only.
You did a great job with him too.
Special for Sesame Street.
Yeah.
50th anniversary.
So every week we ask our guest to give us a question to ask our next guest without knowing who it is. Last week our guest was Nick Stoller, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We've had an array of different questions.
Some really deep ones.
Yeah,
sorry
some
about
are kind of dumb, but Nick wanted to know, when was the last time you farted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was thinking of me when he asked this question. I'm sure of it.
He probably was,
yeah.
not knowing.
I know Nick,
you, but he knew,
and he knows me very well. So he probably knew the answer as well, but is quite recently. Probably.
Wow.
Probably.
You guys really know each other.
It's probably been more than you'd like to know during this conversation we've had. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, our final question. Without knowing who it is, what question would you like to ask our next guest?
Can you give me a hint of who it's gonna be?
No, I know who it is, but Joe has no idea who
Jarrod,
it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise to me as well. Jarrod is bringing in could be anybody.
Okay.
It could be you again. I don't know.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite snack food?
Done.
Okay.
What's your favorite snack food? Great question. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of to introduce our guest star, Eric Jacobson. Thank you so much for being here. What a treat.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This has made my week. It's made my month, I'd argue.
Well,
month's not over yet, and I am going on a
quite
holiday
a bit
this
of
weekend.
month to go.
Yeah, true. But so far, it's made my month.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could do that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have made my last hour. Really, truly.
That means more to me than you know.
It means very little to me. We didn't do anything else this hour. We made it whether it was good or bad.
No, seriously. More than all of the gas that I've released, this has really meant something to me.
Well, that's always good to know.